guys. Let's look at a couple of the names being very strongly linked with them. I'll come to you, Michael, shortly on Viktor Gyokeres. Let's start, though, on Hugo Ekitike. Mark, this is an option for United. Any more than that? How concrete is this?
Yeah, well, we know that Manchester United are in the market for a number 9. Rasmus Højlund being linked potentially with a move back to Italy or Saudi Arabia. As far as he's concerned, he wants to stay and fight for his place, but will he have to fight for his place against maybe one of these two players? Hugo Ekitike nearly joined the Premier League a couple of years ago. Newcastle very interested in him. Had a phenomenal campaign last year at Eintracht Frankfurt. 34 goals and assists in 48 games, really showing the type of form that encouraged PSG to sign him not that long ago. He's now the main man, which is what he needed. Didn't get game time in France, but he's getting game time in Germany. There's been initial talks between Manchester United and Frankfurt. No formal bid as of yet, but United just exploring their options as to whether he may be the right type of number 9 for them. We're told that personal terms won't be a problem if he decided to go to Manchester United. But of course, Manchester United have an extensive list of possible striking targets, which brings in this man because he's got another one very much on the radar.
Yeah, and I mean, Gyokeres, his numbers, his goal-scoring numbers have been frightening over the last couple of years. Could he end up at Old Trafford?
54 goals in 52 games. It's quite staggering numbers, isn't it? It really is. But look, when Ruben Amorim arrived at Manchester United, we're talking about Gyokeres. There's contact via his intermediaries, but I don't know. This is an interesting one here. There's talk about this €100 million release clause. Gyokeres has then gone to social media basically saying don't believe all you read. But the two clubs you keep hearing, Manchester United, Arsenal, but then Arsenal looking at Benjamin Sesko as well. But again, we have to stress that we expect a very, very, very busy few weeks here transfer-wise. But clubs aren't under any pressure as it stands. Although what I would say is that clubs are always very keen to get these players in before they go on their long-haul pre-season tours. So I do expect I do expect this kind of movement maybe in the next week or so.
Manchester United are interesting at the moment because they're basically revitalising the front three. We know that Ruben Amorim wants to play with 2 10s. He wants to play with a number 9. They've got Matheus Cunha in. And Mbeumo looks like one. Could one of these two be the number 9? And that would be a completely new-look strike force for Manchester United. But it's just about piecing the puzzle together and getting the players in for the fees that the clubs are comfortable with. Viktor Gyokeres is a player that I watch so much, and you probably remember talking about him on Soccer Specials and Soccer Saturdays because he used to score for fun at Coventry. I think he's outstanding. So much interest in him. You feel like this is the summer he'll get the big move back to the Premier League. If it doesn't happen now, it might not happen, and I think he knows that as well.
And also, just finally, this is a Manchester United who aren't in Europe next season. But will they have any issues with a player saying, no, I need to be in Europe, I need to be in Europe? This is Manchester United we're talking about. That's what intrigues me as well.
I don't think that's a problem.
I don't either.
You look at Cunha, Mbeumo, Hugo Ekitike, Viktor Gyokeres, the players that they're being linked with clearly don't feel that one season out of Europe is a problem because they'll back themselves to say, I tell you what, if I go to Manchester United with all those players, we'll definitely be in Europe.
Get the old Sky remote. We'll go back to Mbeumo. We rewind it a little bit because they could be having that conversation. Thomas Frank, you are in the Champions League with me. Anyway, that's for 7.
Ooh, nice tease.
Little tease there.
We've got a whole hour with these two. To a player who's certainly proved he can hack it in the Premier League already. Brayan Mbeumo, what a season he had for Brentford. Will he be following his boss, Thomas Frank, out of the club, though? Could he be heading to either Tottenham or Manchester United this summer? We'll get the Spurs angle shortly, Michael. Let's start with you, Mark. Manchester United long linked with Brayan Mbeumo. Now they have competition for him. How confident will they be that they can sign him?
Well, they'll be really confident because there's been other Premier League sides that have also shown an interest in Brayan Mbeumo as well. And actually, he's turned them down to join Manchester United. So the late interest from Tottenham is a spanner in the works, but I don't think it will disrupt this potential deal. Manchester United, as far as they're concerned, are relaxed about the current situation. They believe that Brayan wants to join them in Old Trafford, so therefore they're confident, comfortable and relaxed with regards to his stance. You have to remember that Manchester United last week had their initial and first bid rejected by Brentford, which we understand to be a total of £55 million. Brentford looking for upwards of £60 million. So they're not a million miles away. You'd imagine that a second offer, which we said last week on Sky Sports News was being prepared, will be a lot closer to what Brentford are looking for. Brayan Mbeumo has 1 year left on his Brentford contract with a club option additional year. So essentially he's got a 2-year deal left. So it is going to be a sizable fee that Manchester United are going to have to pay. However, he's not the only target they're looking at. They would be naive if they were to only put all their eggs in one basket, because things change in football and things change very quickly, as Michael knows. So therefore, they do have other options, but right now it looks like it's going to be a Manchester United situation for Brayan Mbeumo.
Spurs' interest, just a spanner in the works, to quote Mr. McAdam. Does Thomas Frank's arrival
Don't quote me.
change that?
Well, let me just say, Spurs and Brentford have had very good negotiations over the last 10 days or so, and we've been reporting day after day on Thomas Frank's appointment at Tottenham Hotspur. That was never in doubt, and I'm sure people were bored of me saying it every day. But what I kept stressing was the delay. Well, not really a delay, it's probably the wrong word, but the coaches coming in, and they've taken some good coaches from Brentford. Now, you do wonder now what potential players Thomas Frank might fancy at Brentford, and does he want to take a number of players from Brentford? It is talking Nathan Collins, the defender who's been absolutely brilliant for them at Brentford. But in terms of Mbeumo, there have been initial discussions about a potential deal. They are interested in him. Antoine Semenyo is another player Spurs like as well. But at this stage of the window, they are just one of a number of top attacking players Spurs have been in discussions with. The encouragement Spurs have had, Jules, is the fact that Brayan Mbeumo and Thomas Frank have a brilliant relationship. I mean, who doesn't like Thomas Frank? I'm not being funny, but they have a brilliant professional relationship. He's been absolutely outstanding. There was concerns when the likes of Ivan Toney left, Ollie Watkins, and Thomas Frank has always got this sorted out, and then Mbeumo has been absolutely outstanding. But I don't think Spurs are under massive pressure here. If he wants to join Manchester United, there's nothing much Tottenham can do, but they've been encouraged with the fact they get on so well, Frank and Mbeumo.
But I mean, could that change his mind, this relationship he has with Frank? Could that be the decisive factor?
Absolutely. I've been at deadline day, I've been at clubs on a deadline day, and a player has arrived and then he's disappeared again because he's got a better offer. Until that contract is signed, it's always possible that something else could come to the table. And that's what happens with these big deals. One phone call, one extra bit of money, one chunk more money for Brentford, and suddenly the dynamic shifts. And that's where you can never say never, and you always have to be prepared for the unexpected when you're talking about transfers.
And I think Thomas Frank will be at Tottenham this week, so potential, maybe some in-house media. Be interesting to hear about his appointment. He's always very engaging. We love hearing him on Sky Sports News. So the work there starts now.
But Spurs, Manchester United, both very keen on Mbeumo. Sticking with Manchester United, a striker.
After final decision made, Viktor Gyokeres has reportedly turned down the chance to join Manchester United and has set his sights on a move to Arsenal instead. Manchester United have reportedly decided on their transfer alternative to Sporting Lisbon's Viktor Gyokeres, who has his heart set on a move to Arsenal. The Swedish forward believes he needs to join a club competing in the Champions League next season and vying for the Premier League title. United insiders have declined to comment on Portuguese reports suggesting the 27-year-old has expressed disinterest in reuniting with his ex-Sporting coach Ruben Amorim in Manchester, reports The Mirror. However, it is believed that the Reds have already begun scouting for alternative targets, and are prepared to intensify their pursuit of Eintracht Frankfurt's Hugo Ekitike. Ekitike, a 22-year-old France under-21 international, has also caught Liverpool's eye after netting 22 goals for the German side last season. However, Frankfurt's £80 million asking price for the former Paris Saint-Germain forward would need to be significantly reduced before United make an offer. United have already been told that they will have to come up with an acceptable offer for Frankfurt, with the club's sporting director Markus Krösche telling Wiesbadener Courier, "If the price isn't right, then he'll simply stay with us. We don't have to sell Hugo." As for Gyokeres, the transfer saga around the Sweden striker has taken many twists and turns this week. On Thursday he took to the social media platform Instagram to break his silence on mounting speculation on his future, saying, "There is a lot of talk at the moment, most of it is false. I will speak when the time is right." His comments came after Sporting president Frederico Varandas gave his understanding of the situation around a supposed gentleman's agreement for the player to leave for around £60 million instead of his £84 million release clause. "I can guarantee that Viktor Gyokeres will not leave for €60 plus €10 because I never promised that," Varandas said. To this day, Sporting has not received an offer for Gyokeres, neither today nor last summer.